business. We'll enjoy the presence, but we'll otherwise get started. We got a quorum with 4, right?
Yeah, but you got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry, that's right. I can count, just, I can count, I just can't turn my head apparently. Sorry, Janine. Only whatever's in my field of vision. All right, well, welcome everybody. We're gonna jump right into our public hearing for Bison Bag, and I'm gonna turn it right over to Jim Stryker.
Okay.
We need Dan to do his reading first.
Do we do that first?
Yeah, let's.
Sorry.
Do an
Sorry,
abbreviated
Jim, I am-
reading. You know, a notice was published in the Union Senate Journal, which basically said, please take notice, the Town of Lockport Industrial Development Agency will hold a public hearing on August 12, 2021 at 8 a.m. Town of Lockport Industrial Development Agency Conference Room, 6560 Dysinger Road, Lockport, New York, to consider application of 5404 Crown Drive, Inc., or a related company requesting the agency assistance for limited to sales tax exemption for the building of a 43,776 plus or minus square foot building, a facility at the 5404 Crown Drive location. And the total project cost for this is $2,300,000. So, hearing's open.
Okay. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Stryker.
As was just mentioned, we're looking to put an expansion in our facility. Part of it's warehouse, part of it's going to be manufacturing. We're looking for help with the sales tax portion on things like the steel to the building, the concrete, racking, that sort of thing. We anticipate, right now, like if I had 20 people, if I could find 20 people, I would hire 20 people. We're that far short on help. We're also adding 3 new lines. Those will arrive after the completion of the building, slitting lines, lamination lines, RTO line. I'm adding right now currently 2 pouch lines, another wicker line, which I will need to also man. Those are going to be going in the current building until the next building is done. That's kind of the project in a really simple nutshell for us right now. If there's any questions that I can answer that you have, I can certainly help answer.
Do you have blueprints if anybody needed to see the expansion, if you will, and how it's gonna fit? Sure can.
Would you want to just describe a little bit how the retention pond sort of comes into play with as you expand out, you have to, you're modifying where it is to the west, and does that create any additional sort of hassle for you, or has it gone well, a little more?
Well, we know what we're doing, so it went well, but it's just a pain to have to keep moving it down, and pretty much they spent the money to buy 2 acres, and most of it's for a pond. There's only like 50 foot of the building going onto the property.
We would have done a larger, in retrospect, yeah, I would have, I could have done 100,000 square feet, as our business is growing, mercifully quite nicely with the help of everybody in Lockport, the area, the personnel, the people. It's been very good for us, so clearly, it's been a benefit.
For the board's sake to remember, this is also the project, and you can see it on the blueprint, where we'd be working with the highway department to extend the road, Commerce Drive, 125 feet.
Janine, have you seen?
Okay. Bill did bring an elevation if he wants to see it, but it's how you'd expect it to be, the way the building looks now with kind of the corrugated steel. This is no different, same roof heights, couple warehouse doors like you can see on here, but
Yeah, we have 4 dock doors in the front, all in one bay, because the road is just gonna be far enough for us to back into the first corner of the building to unload it, load it.
What is the end product of the enterprise?
We manufacture flexible packaging, so,
Flexible packaging?
yeah, so if you go to Wegmans and buy a bag of frozen corn, I print the bag of frozen corn. If you buy a bag of New York chips, I print the pouch of New York chips in. If you go to Disney World and you buy a bag of Chippendale nuts, I print the pouch of Chippendale nuts going. If you fly Southwest Airlines, I print everything for Southwest. I print everything for Delta. I print everything for Alaska Air. Some of our customers include Rich Products, King Nut's one of our biggest ones, Tropical Nut. They supply companies like Walgreens, Target, Walmart, Home Depot. So we manufacture a myriad of products. Most of them are food products, food packaging. So during the pandemic, we were deemed essential, and we were open the whole time. Rosina Meatballs is another one of our biggest customers, and they're everywhere, as you know. So that's what we make. We engineer products designed for our customers for everything from shelf stability to puncture resistance to aesthetics. People like, want a product that catches your eye. I personally look for whichever one is 99 cents when I'm in the store. But that's our business. We print, we laminate, we slit, we convert. So we take raw stock and print the image on it. We then take that film and we either laminate it to another structure, depending on what barrier properties a customer wants. Then it would go to a slitting machine. We can add a zipper inline. If you ever buy Members Mark brown sugar, for example, it's got that Interlock zipper, or Schwann's that has that zipper on top. We install that as well. We do all kinds of bread packaging for Costanzo's, is one of our bigger customers. Father Sam's for tortillas, Mission. So if you buy a bag of Tops tortillas or a bag of Wegmans tortillas, or if you go to Mighty Taco, that product is in our bag as well. So we have a pretty good sales force. We service not only local area of the country, and some of our stuff actually goes to other countries such as Korea, the UK, Canada. Wegmans Fresh Cut is another one of our big customers. So if you buy salad in the Wegmans bag with a pull zipper on it, that's another one of our products. So the sort of stuff we do.
You touched for a minute on what my follow-up question was going to be. Your sales and marketing efforts to continue to build and promote the business. Are you working with in-house people? Are you working with agents? All of the above?
We have all the above. Some of our brokers, we have one company, BMSI, they're manufacturers rep. They sell for hotel chains, for pancake mix, we have a self-service breakfast and that sort of thing. Then we have one inside sales guy. He has customers like Pez Candy. So if you buy Pez Candy, the little pouch with we print all of that for Pez. He does Rosinas and a myriad of other ones. If you guys fish, we do fishing lure pouches, all kinds of crazy stuff. Kids with braces, we make a little bag that the rubber bands come in for the braces. So all kinds of that. We have another gentleman coming on board to expand that process again. Part of this expansion is to facilitate, I don't know if you're familiar with the Christmas tree car fresheners. We're working with them. They want a domestic supplier of film and a different printer. So we started supplying them. And in order to do that, it's a different lamination process that they want. So we're adding the machinery to handle that for them as well, among other new customers to get.
Who's your primary competition in the business?
There's a ton of them. Locally, Flexo Transparent, Celopac, which is the Pro-Am Pack and Bryce now, Berry Plastics, Print Pack, but we're a small manufacturer. The thing that separates us from a lot of these guys is we'll do a 500-pound run, and most guys don't want to run that. So we'll do small orders, big orders, but our sweet spot is little medium runs to probably million-piece runs. And the other thing that separates us is we are very flexible. So we have customers that, wow, we ran out of Delta Airlines for nuts.com. Can you guys sneak this in for us? We will. A lot of our competition won't do that. They're like, it's 12 weeks, it's 12 weeks. Right. So we've gotten business from those guys because they can't service them. So service is our big key, and quality is our second one. Put all kinds of investment in machinery, new equipment. I just put in a new printing press a couple ago. Our oldest press is only 10 years old, which is young, and our newest one is 1. And we're looking at a 5th one to facilitate more growth at the area. So as demand comes in, my philosophy is I hit 80% capacity, I go on to the next piece of equipment. Just keep that in. And then we try to make it user-friendly for the operators. So when I printed, when I was younger, everything was integral cylinders and everything weighed a ton and you had to put stuff. So I made sure that, you know, you have shaftless winders and units to handle the rolls and that sort of thing. So I'm getting old and it's getting harder for me to dump rolls on a cart.
Thank you.
What's the timeline on the new printing presses? When you decide you need to go for it, what's your timeline of ordering that to delivery?
It takes about a year. So we start the project about 18 months prior. In fact, I'm meeting with Windmill and Holshire tonight to facilitate that next piece of the puzzle. We just finished our ordering for our next laminator, which will be here in the spring, our next slitter, which will be here in the spring too. So typically it's about a year. You know, you can kind of see where the market's going, and you can tell. We've had some business that just caught me off guard. You know, some of our pouch business hit us like wasn't expecting it, and the pandemic kind of hit certain aspects of it way more than you would have thought. And it didn't pull back, which is interesting, but it just keeps going. Some other converters went out, and some other converters couldn't keep up, and we just kept moving along. Films and whatnot were hard to get for a while.
That was going to be my next question. Is
Yeah.
Where's your impact been on, within the pandemic? Supply's been okay? How about shipping out? Any problem with your international orders?
Mercifully, that stuff goes to local co-packers in the States, and then they fill it and send it out. So we can get it to them, and then the only ones we ship to is we ship to Mexico direct for filling for rich products. But that hasn't been too bad. But certain materials are hard to get. Matte finish materials are really hard to get. Certain OPPs, polypropylenes and stuff, we've been just ordering containers now. Some of it has moved out of the States, and then some of it moved back to the States. So when it's manufactured in U.S., Canada, and South America, it's much easier to get than when you're having to get it from Emirates and Oman and those places. And there's only certain materials that you can only get overseas because they just don't make them here anymore. And then a lot of times they've been sitting out of water. That's been fun.
Mhm.
But for the most part, we've been able to anticipate that and then work with the customers. And they might not get a matte material, they might just get stuck with regular polyester, but they're still getting product. I think, and they appreciate that, hey, we're looking out for them. And that's another reason. We've seen that grow that way too.
Questions?
Okay.
All right.
I don't think I had anything else that was catching my eye in there.
So during new business, we'll address this, and I'll give you a call right afterwards.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
You got it.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
coming. Thanks.
You can grab that printed.
Thanks for your time.
All right, you bet.
I don't really need it.
Okay, thanks, Bill. You bet.
Everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
You're closing the public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have to make an official declaration
Sure.
of closing 8:15?
Gotcha.
We don't need any motion to do that, right?
You don't need a motion,
No.
just vote.
I got both times noted.
All right. So we'll bring the regular meeting to order then, and we'll start off with the secretary's report. Do we have any communication to worry about?
No.
All right, we'll jump right into then approval of the minutes from July 8th. And I'll take a motion to accept them from anyone but Harry, who was not there, so he can't make that motion. I'll make one. Thank you, Bob. A second. Thank you, Darlene. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. And anytime you do have a correction or anything, just let us know ahead of time, that's great too. All right, we'll move right over to the treasurer's report. Bob, you can take it away.
Okay, pretty straightforward month. The one thing that is highlighted in the information you'll see is the JNR pilot recapture numbers. So you'll see it come in at, in the cash and income, on the statement of cash transactions, you'll see it as income. You'll see the Bison Bag application fee for $1,000 for what we just went through and we're going to talk about, and then the interest. You'll see the JNR Magnetics pilot go back out again, or actually it doesn't leave, it shows as a liability because it's on its way out. It will go back out again, where it belongs. Disbursements for the month of July, we had the standard town travel, our accountants and our lawyers, locksmith work, the professional services was the rock study, the payment of that, and our installment, the way we handle our NICIC bills of $100. So, for the period, balances in of $1,663,921 in cash and savings. Moving on to the income statement, you'll see the same incomes and outgoes. The JNR doesn't show up because it's going right back out again. Expenses, the management fee, meeting expense, operations, building, that's the lawn work, and then the $27.15 for the rock study. So total expense, $78.76 for the month, which is a loss of $66.67. And then the balance, as we move on to the balance sheet, you'll see the checking and savings numbers again for that same total, $1768,657. Now, there under liabilities, you'll see due to other governments, the JNR pilot recapture is going to go back out again, our two bonds and the accruement for the GM litigation. Total fund balance of $1453,426, and then our total of $2782,402. Anybody have any questions?
So we just act as a pass-through for the pilot. Does that sort of get wrapped into our future Paris report as well? When we
Yeah, probably, yeah, I mean, I imagine so, because that pilot comes to an end and they'll want to probably know why it came to end prematurely and so on, but I can take a closer look at that.
Okay. Anyone have any questions other than me checking that? All right, I'll take a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Janine. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Harry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Bills that we would like to pay, our payment to the town for the monthly contract, credit card expenses, and reimbursement,
They
which
had paid for the Toshiba maintenance agreement versus, as you see in this month, where we're paying it directly.
Yeah.
So they're, had stopped paying it on our behalf and having us pay it, so I think it's a couple months' worth.
Okay. Town's mileage, we've got Norton antivirus
On our 3 computers, yeah.
for 3 computers.
Yep.
Okay. Then the maintenance agreement on the copier is a separate line item. Lawnsmith for the spring cutting, and then the ad in the Gazette for the public hearing we just went through.
Yep.
I'd like to request to make a motion and we pay those.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. Tom, we'll go right to you.
I'll be
for
quick, because I have a couple items for executive session. First thing I'd reference is, as you know, we're in the process of selling the 2 acres to Concept Concrete. That closing's been delayed just until they get to the planning board, which I would think now would be in the September scenario. They recently had Wendell go out and do a topography survey of the land, even though the standard survey had been done. So, and you may recall, we even actually got probably 80% completed site plans and so on, even before they'd gone to ask us to buy the land. So I would think both that planning board, and they're aware of the deadlines they need to hit each month for planning board, so that's moving along well. I don't know how long it takes with Wendell to get him that topography survey, but they've definitely been out and done it for sure. A little bit on the town side, that CFA grant submittal, you know, we facilitated the first phase of rail trail. This is the second phase of the rail trail that runs from Murphy Road to the city line. Initially, the city was gonna simultaneously submit theirs. They don't own the land where that would go. I think it's actually owned by NYSEG. So they've got some interim steps to get control of that land and or easements and so on. So, but they certainly gave us a letter of support and so on. So it was for, the cost for that second phase is around $200K. Our grant was for $180, and there is a 20% in-kind contribution. So, and that actually was submitted to the New York State Canal Corporation and the Office of Historical Preservation that has a rail trail program. So, good exercise for me. I had yet to do a application through the Consolidated Funding app, so I have a much greater familiarity with it now. I think I'd sent it during the month, but I would just recognize that we've tried to, you know, I'll drop down to E first. You know, I'm almost done with kind of a current round of face-to-face or phone calls with all the businesses we support, just as kind of checking in and sharing our revised contact information more on Maureen's side. But, you know, without a doubt, you know, it's even worse than it was during the pandemic in terms of where they all sit. Well, most of them sit workforce-wise. There are some folks with some pretty significant, even just current workforce challenges, never mind what we heard this morning in terms of wanting to expand. So it'll be interesting to see prior to year end, with schools going back into session and, you know, enhanced unemployment ending, whether we see a change in that prior to the year end, or whether we, you know, do see some job target shortages, given where a lot of entities sit. To kind of help in that arena, if you will, we did share recently that New York State Workforce Development, there's really two programs that we could assist businesses in applying, because it also uses the CFA application. One's an employee training and incentive program that's tax credit based, and the other one is more of a grant program through Department of Labor that again allows them to train either existing employees or, probably more difficult, the unemployed individuals. That program does have a small cost share program with it, so hopefully some of our businesses will take advantage of either one of those. Just a heads up that in September we'll bring the draft of our 2022 budget, and then we'll want to vote on it in October. That's mainly driven by the fact that the Paris and Authorities Budget Office expect to have it by the end of October. But now that I have July's year-to-date, I'll just annualize those and put the budget together for you to look at in September. The only other thing I think I would mention is we are working on the town's website. In fact, as soon as we're done here today, the team will see the choices for kind of the homepage design, and most department pages are set and ready to go, and it's been moving along fine. The last thing I'd mention, because I think I was in the dark, and I think it's important to understand, you know, Genesee County in particular does a really great job of trying to, they probably really have kind of a, by far, center of excellence in sort of letting middle school and high school kids become aware of career track jobs, if you will. Much to my surprise, Lockport High School really has done an awful lot of work in that area. They now have a program where every ninth grader has to take a half semester class called Careers in Financial Management, which is kind of what it says, generalized exposure to a handful of careers, and then some kind of everyday financial management that they would use personally. But then they've also begun to put together what they call their Pathways program. Right now, they have 2 pathways. One is business administration pathway, the other is a computer technology pathway, and they're in the process of getting New York State approval for kind of a finance, think insurance, real estate, stocks, and then another one on law enforcement. Long story short, those programs all have a number of classes the kids need to take, but they culminate in a internship their senior year, which is a 54-hour internship in the fall semester. Mention that for 2 reasons. One, I was pleasantly surprised that Lockport has begun to recognize that they should have both kind of career as well as, college-ready programs for students. But most importantly, I've certainly emailed all of our businesses and let them know about, A, the program, but B, the internship opportunities this fall. For example, I think there's 25 kids needing an internship, and about 11 of them have yet to match, and there's a variety of interests, whether it is computer technology or marketing or real estate. So I sat through a meeting the other day. It was kind of an update meeting, and ended up being assigned to be one of their external reviewers for the 2 new pathways. And I may also sit on just their general pathways group, because I don't think a lot of people know about the programs. I think the more we can help them market them, the better. But more importantly, there are, I think, plenty of Lockport businesses that could do internships. It really breaks down to like 3 hours a week that we can help educate and build on. There's handfuls of, in the spring, they do a mock interview scenario that I can find some businesses, I'm sure, to participate. So you may hear some more on that in the future, because I'll stay connected with the group that's heading it up. But I was pleased to see that they're headed in that direction. So I think that's all I had in my remarks, but.
And we're gonna tackle your extra email.
Executive. Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, anything on the attorney report side of the world for us?
No, not until number 7, which is...
Okay. So you wanna hit JNR door recapture before we?
Yeah, just as an FYI, I sent Dan and Tom yesterday what StarPoint sees as being owed to the...
Leave that for executive
Okay,
session.
that's fine.
For consultation with the attorney.
That's fine, but not a big issue by any means, so.
Okay. And why don't we wait on new business until after executive?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Just in case.
Sure.
All right, so I'll take a motion to move into executive session.
Oh, you're not gonna do the inducement resolution?
I'm just gonna skip it for now.
Save it as new business,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
So we'll take a motion to go into executive session for consultation with attorney.
So moved.
So, thank you. So we'll move to new business and the Bag inducement resolution. The thing we didn't talk about, when Jim was here, was that, prior to the meeting, Tom had sent out the, Inform Analytics, proposal, so you all have that in your package today to help, going along with the application.
Maybe just for Denise's benefit, a long time ago, New York State sort of said, look, we think we see too many shady deals. We're not sure if board members know whether the cost benefit of a deal really measures up or not. So they really stipulate that IDAs and probably other authorities have an objective tool to evaluate the cost benefit analysis. We and many other IDAs use this Inform Analytics. It's changed within the last year, both in terms of the interface, which has nothing to do with anything other than it's easier. But they've also, we used to look at projects that had a 13-to-1 or a 20-to-1. We thought, that's a really good
Cost to benefit.
project. Now you see ridiculous cost-to-benefit scenarios, mainly because they've just gone into, well, first of all, this would be over the course of 15, did we say, how many years? 10 years, I think I put it over. Anyway, they also take a look at all these spin-offs and assign crazy dollars to it, so on and so forth. So it looks like,
And this one was so bold, I actually reached out
Yeah, yeah.
to Tom and was like, are you sure these
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
are right? 'Cause
Somewhere,
these
yeah.
indirect ones,
Yeah.
the indirect totals
Yeah.
seem outrageous, but
and, you know, they're taking credit for the retention of the 88 jobs and so on and so forth. That's all legit, but it just is kind of silly to make it look like it's a, you know, in this case, remember, you know, we're taking up to $2 million of their construction expenses and making those for the 2021, 2022 tax year, tax exempt to a max of $160,000 benefit, which is all in the Inform Analytics. So, but yeah, it's fine, it's easy to use, but now it's gotten silly with some of the benefits that they assign.
Well, your resolution itself is several pages, but you each have a copy of it
Yep.
in your package, and it's our standard resolution with modifications, and it does recite that there's gonna be 8 new jobs, full-time and 2 part-time. It's restricted to sales tax exemption only. They didn't ask for, I don't know why, but they didn't ask for
Yeah,
anything on
Yeah.
a mortgage. Well, there isn't gonna, I verified, there isn't gonna be any mortgage financing, but they didn't ask for pilot for this particular part of the project. Now, we'll have to follow through. This addition should be separately tax, given a sub-tax number, because they don't get a pilot for that. 'Cause they didn't ask for it.
Yeah, I think just short-sighted on their part. I mean, at one point, he said to me, you know, could we get the other thing? And I said, well, it probably justifies itself, but that would take a bit longer. I mean, there's just such expediency on their part to get going. And those of you that know Beisenbach is, you know, they've just had a history of, you know, focused on their business, and all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, we really need to
yeah, they hit the gas.
do this yesterday, and,
But anyway, so this is just limited to, and then that's the last, number 18, I think it is, or 17, one of them says it's limited to sales tax exemption only. And, so in order to adopt that, you just need a motion and a second, and should do a roll call on that one.
And is there a date on the sales tax you mentioned?
That will be in the closing documents.
Okay.
We still have to do a lease back, which I don't think they realize, but their attorney does. So it'll be, we're gonna do what I would call an abbreviated closing. We don't have bank involved, so we don't have to worry about that, and that's usually the biggest
So we'll
paper
stipulate the
push.
$2 million, but it'll also have a time.
It's gonna expire at the end of construction.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that's how I'm gonna phrase it,
Yeah.
and an automatic expiration at the time of completion. Or probably put a fixed date in there too, whichever is sooner.
Okay.
I haven't done one quite like this one before,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And I just know from our perspective with those ST-340s, this will have some activity in 2021, some in 2022, so we'll note to ask them for that for each of those years. We've dramatically improved our part of counseling the businesses of, look, this is the form we gave you, this is what that means. This is the form that we filled out, you're to give, not unlike the typical tax exempt, use that for all of your employers. This is the form the contractor needs to use, showing that they gave you, and oh, by the way, then here's the ST-340 that tells us this year that they had $80,000 worth of abatement or whatever. So there's a whole book with, what does each form need that we put together since I've been here, so
Yeah.
they should be less.
So we're gonna try to get the closing done as quick as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already
Done some site work.
in the
so, yeah.
construction, so.
Yeah, but there's no, they don't get the sales tax.
No,
If they
it
start
won't be
spending the
retro.
money, they don't.
Right.
Yeah, they do,
don't
they'll get it
So they need to
retroactive
wait.
from the
before.
beginning.
Yeah, okay. Do we have any other questions or anything? All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. Do we need any,
Just need a motion in a second first.
I'll make the motion
Okay.
to approve
I'll second it.
requested filing.
Bob, Darlene? All right, and we'll do a roll call vote. I'll go around. Harry?
Aye.
Janine?
Aye.
Eric is an aye. Bob?
Aye.
And Darlene?
Aye.
All right,
Good,
we're unanimous, motion carries. Awesome, they'll be excited.
appreciate people's
Good
work.
good for the town.
Yeah. That's organic growth for sure.
Absolutely. They're a great success story out there, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Do we have anything else? All right, so just sitting here at the table, I know Bob has a conflict for next.
Actually, I've looked and I'm good.
Oh,
I'll be here.
okay, never mind. Darlene, Harry, or Janine, do
I will
you?
not be here.
I do not believe I can attend on September 9th either, Eric.
Let me, I need to like run out the door at 9:00 on the 9th, because my daughter delivers on the 10th, and we have to drive to Connecticut. So if we want to move the
I'd like to have
date,
a solid schedule on that.
well, let's hope it stays that way.
As long as it doesn't go early.
Yeah, no, that, even the section is early. She has a history of challenged deliveries, so.
All right.
So if you wanted,
The 9th is my middle child's 16th birthday.
See?
That's a bad day for everybody.
But she will already be at school, I think.
You hope.
In the morning, yeah.
16th birthday,
Yeah.
so you have to go down to the DMV, right, get her permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we did it on the
Better go out
16th,
This is all on
That's
the
true.
record.
No,
She'd
we'll-
be the one that would try to go a day early. She's something else,
And Thursday's the day they're open, you can just go there.
yeah. Oh, well, you know what, that would, if we move it, that would be great, because I have a Great Lewis board meeting that day, so
16th?
can we look at the
Do
16th?
anything for
That
anybody?
is
I
fine.
will not be here on 16th.
I will.
Harry, can't tell me or?
Pretty sure I'm gonna be in Detroit.
Uh-oh.
I'd be fine.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
fine.
so that would be two, well, how about this? Let's make it the 16th, pending any additional
Yeah, I'll check with Dan.
survey from Dan and Todd.
Yeah.
And if that day doesn't work either, then we'll struggle and find a
Great.
different day.
Which day is that? What-
Thursday, same Thursday, yeah.
Alright, so we'll tentatively move it to the 16th.
Great, appreciate it.
And, we'll see how that one goes. All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Great. I was
Okay.
Appreciate it.